I never imagined that one of the most meaningful experiences of my life after the war would happen in a quiet place, surrounded by men who carried stories similar to mine, and by dogs who had also been through battles that no one usually talks about. When I agreed to take part in that meeting, they told us it would be something simple. We veterans would sit side by side, wear blindfolds, and wait while shelter dogs walked freely through the space, choosing on their own who they wanted to stay with. The idea felt strange at first, but it also carried something deeper that I couldn't quite explain. After years in environments where everything had to be controlled, calculated, and anticipated, that proposal demanded the exact opposite, trusting the unpredictable. As I put on the blindfold and settled into the place indicated to me, I realized that this wasn't just a symbolic exercise. It almost felt like an invitation for us to lower our guard for a few minutes. Many of us return from war with memories that don't disappear when the uniform comes off. There is a silent weight that follows us back home, a constant sense of alert that settles into the body and takes a long time to fade. Specialists often explain that this happens because the brain spends so much time prepared to react to danger that it takes a while to understand that it is finally safe. I had heard those explanations in consultations and support groups over the years, but that day I began to feel that maybe there was another way to understand everything we carry. While I waited in silence, I started thinking about how shelter dogs also carry invisible stories. Many of them were abandoned. Some spent months or even years waiting for someone who never came back. Others arrived injured or frightened, trying to relearn that not every human touch means danger. In many rescue centers, there is something experts call intuitive bonding, a natural ability dogs have to sense the emotional state of the people around them. Research on animal behavior shows that dogs can detect changes in breathing, tone of voice, and even subtle variations in the scent the human body releases when we feel tense or calm. Because of this, they often approach people who need companionship in a way that feels almost instinctive. As I thought about that, I realized that the experience we were part of wasn't only about adoption. It was about allowing two survival stories to meet without pressure, without expectations, and without the need to appear strong all the time. At some point, I began to hear soft footsteps around the room, curious breaths, and the quiet sound of paws touching the ground. I didn't know exactly what was happening, but I felt something slowly approaching. The first sensation was just a light touch, followed by a calm presence beside me. I didn't need to see to know that one of those dogs had decided to stay there with me. That moment made me understand something that, for a long time, I had struggled to fully accept. Sometimes healing does not arrive through big speeches or complicated solutions, but through small encounters that remind us there is still space for trust. I stayed there, breathing deeply, trying to absorb that simple moment that somehow carried enormous meaning. In emotional support programs for veterans, therapists often talk about the importance of presence, about how the simple fact of not being alone can change the way we deal with difficult memories. Many of these programs began including rescued dogs precisely because of that. Living with an animal that has also had to relearn how to trust creates a type of relationship that doesn't require explanations, only daily companionship and mutual care. As that experience unfolded around me, I realized something similar seemed to be happening with the other veterans as well. It wasn't necessary to see it to feel that the atmosphere had shifted, as if the space itself had grown lighter. Maybe it was because, for the first time in a long time, many of us were not being seen only as soldiers or as people who must remain strong all the time. In that moment, we were simply human beings sitting quietly, allowing an animal to decide whether it wanted to share that space with us. That might seem simple to someone watching from the outside, but for someone who spent years used to controlling every situation, Allowing something to unfold without interference can be incredibly powerful. As the minutes passed, I began to understand that this silent connection was saying far more than words ever could. The dog who had approached me remained there, calm and steady, as if it had already decided that this was exactly where it belonged. In many studies about animal-assisted therapy, researchers explain that dogs have an extraordinary ability to perceive emotional states and respond with calm consistency. That stability creates an environment where the human brain gradually begins to relax, reducing stress levels and helping rebuild a sense of safety. Maybe that was exactly what was happening there. When I finally removed the blindfold, I realized that the experience was not just about adoption or about choosing an animal to take home. It was about remembering that even after everything we have been through, there is still room for new connections, new stories, and new ways to move forward. Looking around, I saw that other veterans were experiencing something similar, each one connected with a dog who seemed to have found exactly the person who needed them at that moment. That was when I understood that the experience held a purpose greater than simply bringing people and animals into the same space. It was a powerful reminder that both humans and dogs carry invisible scars, but also an incredible capacity to rebuild trust when they find the right environment to do so. Maybe that is why stories of rescue and adoption touch so many people. They show that a second chance is not only for those who were abandoned, but also for those who spent so long fighting that they forgot what it feels like to simply be at peace. As I reflected on all of this, I realized that the experience had given me something I never expected to find that day, the feeling that there is still profound meaning in small and unexpected connections. And maybe that is exactly why sharing stories like this matters so much. They remind us that the world is still full of encounters capable of quietly changing the direction of someone's life. If you have stayed here listening to this story, I would truly like to ask you something as well. Have you ever adopted a shelter dog at any point in your life? If you have, how did that decision change your daily routine, the way you see animals, and maybe even your own story? And if you have never adopted one, what are the reasons that make you hesitate before making that choice? Sharing these experiences in the comments helps other people understand the real impact that adoption can have. And if you believe stories like this deserve to keep being told, consider subscribing to the channel so you can follow the next stories as well. There are still many journeys of rescue, loyalty, and unexpected reunions waiting to be discovered, and every new video is another opportunity to show how connections we never planned can transform lives in ways no one can completely predict.